Another disturbance in the southwestern part of the United States. If you're in the United States, this is a pretty common thing in the winter and spring and fall. In the summer, sometimes these disturbances come out of the northwest. Even in the winter, they can do that. But so often, if you're looking at severe weather or some sort of winter weather, you're looking to the southwestern part of the United States for trouble to see if you can find something that's going to activate the atmosphere. And here tonight, same process. This one's a little different. I'm going to put this in motion here. This is the GFS model. And if you look right there, you see that swirl there over California, characteristic low pressure center right there. Okay, swirling around like that in the upper atmosphere. So that's a very common theme. And then the colors are wind speeds, with the red and purple being stronger. So if we go through Thursday morning, right about there. Okay, so that's Thursday morning's jet stream pattern. Very strong jet stream, as you can see, running from the desert southwest to the lower Great Lakes. So very, very strong winds at this part of the atmosphere. Now, this one's a little different than some of these storms that we've seen this winter, in that if you look at the dip in the jet stream, this is what we call a trough of low pressure. And if I just kind of draw this in right here, you'll notice that the line of the maximum dip is something like that. You'll also notice that all the winds are on that side, on the east side of that very same feature I just drew, which is a trough of low pressure. When the winds are all on this side, you do get severe weather, but this system is not what meteorologists refer to as a digging system, meaning this isn't getting stronger at time. It's just kind of translating with all the winds on basically the east side. The energy is already passed through the trough, so we typically don't get a real strong low pressure center develop with this. What we usually do get is a frontal system which stalls somewhat. This is also a pretty classic rain producer in the right spot, and I think the area around the Ozarks and points east are actually close to that spot. Anyway, I'll just keep going, and you can see how this progresses Thursday. And then on Friday, we have another little short wave right here. Now, a short wave is different from that trough I drew in that it is literally shorter. It's this little guy right here that does not. I'm gonna get this drawing right if it kills me. It doesn't take up the entire lower 48. It's just a few states in size. See how that is? So that's still got to move through, and that's going to have implications for rain production here, continuing into Friday for us and points east of here. So does this type of feature produce severe weather? Yeah, usually, but well to our south, Texas, Oklahoma, and you'll see the threat areas that have been outlined match that pretty well. And then this whole thing eventually just leaves. Now this is one GFS model. By the way, before I leave this little feature right here on Sunday is interesting. There's a lot of disagreement as to where this is going to be. The thing I'm talking about is over there, Colorado, right in here. But that's for another show. We'll see what happens with that. And we have another model we can look at too. I'll switch it to the European model, and there's not a whole lot of difference. There are usually some timing differences, but generally there's the long wave trough, the longer one I drew with all the winds on the east side, and then that's Friday's little short wave trough. And then right there is the weekend disturbance I was referring to as well. So there's a lot of agreement early on and less later on as we go into the forecast period. But again, that is very typical in computer model land. Well, let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center's idea of where severe weather may be laid down. The first one on Wednesday, this is kind of interesting. And, I've been known to storm chase once in a while, but I'm also kind of lazy and I'm more considerate of my own time. So I won't actually storm chase until I think it's a pretty good chance, or it's close by, either one. So this thing on Wednesday, I just comment, this is not a great chance, but this would be chasing along a warm frontal boundary right through here. And it's not terribly unstable. If this were a couple months later, I might be more stoked about it, but that's only, about a 3 to 4 hour drive north to see what might develop along the front. The other thing is I'm worried it might be mostly after dark, so I probably wouldn't chase that. But Thursday is here, Friday is here, a typical progression from west to east of the severe weather threat with kind of a lull at night, basically, between the two periods. So that's that. Now, so Springfield is not really in any of these. And while there is a slight chance for severe weather, and I'll outline that here in a minute, I think it's more of a rain situation. And to sort of drive that home, this is the government forecast, the Quantitative Precipitation Forecast, QPF. It's just put out every day, and it just kind of shows where the consensus of all the models and where the heaviest rain is going to be. And you can see Springfield is right here, and we're anywhere between 1 to about 2.5 inches of rain across southwest Missouri, right in this area here, with the 3-inch band from, let's say, south of St. Louis around Cape Girardeau up to around Louisville, southern Indiana, those areas. All right. So if this were to back up a little bit, we'd get a little bit more, and that's a possibility, by the way. So I'd say the Ozarks probably about a 2 to 3 inch band of rain, maybe some localized heavy amounts with this, and so that's that. And I was telling you before that the weather maps. I will show this that this type of weather pattern tends to stall front. So you see, this is the surface weather map on Thursday, and we have this cold front right here, and then it moves through Thursday night. And then on Friday, you'll notice right here, there's this stalled out little low, a little kink in the front. And there's usually a pretty good rain north of such features in this area. So that's why I think we're going to get some enhanced rainfall in the area from late Thursday through Friday, maybe some more over the weekend too. All right, what about on the severe weather side of things? This is the shorter range model, the NAM, and I'm looking at unstable air here. And this is this little sort of dark horse chase I was just referring to. If I had the inclination to do it, I'd go on the nose of this unstable air right here late on Wednesday night into Wednesday evening. But I'll watch it, but I don't think that's really going to develop very well. This is the open warm sector, as they refer to in weather circles, which means this is where the moisture has come up from the Gulf, where increasing instability is pretty prevalent. That front, remember I told you, hasn't really at this point sagged into the area, but it's right here, and it's getting ready to advance as a cold front on Thursday. So this is, again, Wednesday's outlook here, Wednesday evening actually. And what about model agreement? If we look at the unstable air pattern for the GFS model, it doesn't look a whole lot different, except there is one little pocket, right there where it's a little more unstable. And then if I look at the, the other model doesn't have the instability parameters, so I can't look at it there. So there's that. I'm going to go back. This is the GFS. It has a few more things going for it. So I'll just look at, for instance, precipitation, which is a big part of what I think is going to happen here. So this is the total precipitation I'm going to show you here. Okay, I'm just going to let this loop. So this is, or I'm going to kind of control it with my slider, more like. So this is Wednesday evening. If I let this go forward, watch what happens. See, Springfield, and you may not be able to read that. The output there for Springfield, which is right there, is just over 3 inches on this model. If I go to the European model, it spits out almost 3 in that same area right here. You can see these purple areas here are starting to get into, I believe those are 3 and 4 inch total, I believe. And then the shorter range model has this, but it gets cut off because it stops. Well, no, actually it'd be okay. So the shorter range model, the NAM, shows this precipitation area as well in this area. So that's why I think that this is mainly going to be a heavy rain event. Now let me do one more thing. Let me take the NAM and go with the simulated reflectivity. What does that mean? Well, it's the computer's idea where the thunderstorms will develop in the rain. So I'll back this up a little bit, and this is Thursday, right in through here. Thursday, this is late afternoon. Typically what happens in these types of scenarios is if there's going to be any severe weather, it's going to occur in this area right through here, where the air is just unstable enough ahead of the main line of storms. And then once this starts to develop into a large line like that, then that entire area of potential severe weather occurs right along this area here, but that's well displaced south of Springfield by then. And then we just get into the heavy rain business at that point and really never look back. This is maybe illustrated somewhat better by the GFS. I can go back and look at this here. So right here, this is Thursday afternoon. You already see some thunderstorms beginning to develop in this area here, northwest of Springfield. Again, if there's going to be any severe potential to be ahead of these blossoming storms, because they're going to congeal into one line with the upper level wind pattern that we have, that's probably what's going to happen, almost certainty now. And then, we just move this forward and you can see what happens. It just forms a big old line of storms. And so if you're along the southern edge of that, you might have some severe weather possibilities, but they're not real great. So that kind of sums it up for next week. So anytime there's a big weather change, I try to do one of these. I changed the name of this video from upstream weather, which is very descriptive, to heads up weather. I think that's going to get more attention. That's really what I essentially am doing, trying to give you a heads up about what changeable weather might be occurring as many days out as I think is feasible and still be accurate. So that's my report for tonight. We'll see if another one is due here later in the week. I appreciate you watching. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel for more very interesting weather, jazz, cooking, all kinds of things on my channel. Thanks for watching.